for example, position, like ownership, position. For example, we say to this person that today you are appointed as the manager of this office, or you are minister, or you are prime minister. Has anything changed in reality? Nothing has changed. Responsibility comes from this decision. Otherwise, this person is the same person. Yeah? This person is the same person. But sometimes, all of a sudden, you see that this person is now a different person. He becomes proud, he becomes arrogant. Sometimes. Or he becomes more humble. There are people that when they have position, they become more humble. But anyway, there is a change here. This change is a reality, but what caused this reality was a decision that we made. And we could have made it differently. Way. So, Ayatollah Mutahhari says, we initiate some notions based on some masala, some interests and harms, and then members of the society should observe them. We say this is owned by this. Yeah? Even in a sense, marriage is also like this. Of course, marriage is made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or endorsed by Allah. But that's also like this, that as soon as this marriage is done, then certain rulings come. But it's not that these two people have changed. Do you know what I mean? It's a contract. It's a divine, of course, contract. But in some societies, maybe even they do it without religion. And we respect that. Anyone, according to their culture and customs, get married, we respect that. But what is important is that this is something that we have found to be useful for human society. And after that, many rights and rulings come. Otherwise, it's not that these two people have changed. Okay? At least if it is not done religiously. Maybe religiously there are some changes, maybe Allah puts some thing in them differently. جَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. So, Ayatollah Mutahhari says, this is the meaning of justice that every person understands, and it is opposite to zulm, which means to observe the rights and priorities which are created based on this type of notions. He refers to a poem from Rumi, Mawlavi, Jalaluddin Muhammad Balkhi Rumi Mawlavi. He says in a beautiful Farsi, and it is interesting that although this was said many centuries ago, it still is very clear Farsi. Because these great poets have kept the language. Like Quran that has kept Arabic stable. These poems also have taken Farsi and kept it stable. عدل چه بود وضع اندر موضعش. What is justice? To put in its right place. ظلم چه بود وضع در ناموضعش. To put in right place. عدل چه بود آب ده اشجار. What is justice? Justice to give water to trees. ظلم چه بود آب دادن خار را. If there are thorns and you give them water. This is zulm.
That explains a lot.
Yes. موضع رخ شهنهی ویرانی است. It's about chess, playing chess. if instead of we call castle, what do you call
Elephant.
The king.
Rook.
rock? Rock.
Rock.
So it's like Farsi.
Rook.
If instead of rock, you put the king,
Yes.
this is destruction. Viranim is destruction. You should not sacrifice king for the sake of keeping rock. موضع شه پیل هم نادانیست. And instead of king, if you put elephant, this is also ignorance. So when you need king, you cannot put something lower. And when you need something lower and it's enough, don't put king at risk. Okay? Like for example, when you want to protect your face, you protect it with your hand. Not that for protecting your hand, you use your face. Okay? It's possible, you know.
It's possible, but it's ignorance.
Pardon?
It's possible, but it's ignorance.
Yes. I don't know if you have heard the joke or not.
Yes.
Someone was very, naughty. So he was annoying people. So once he put his hand on a sharp item. Okay, like for example, there are fences,
Oh,
that-
yeah.
and there is like a sword.
Yes.
So he was putting his hand and was asking people to punch my hand.
Oh.
So when he was punching, they were punching, he was taking his hand. So they were hurt. So someone who was not very intelligent liked this. He said, let me do this. So he found someone who thought that maybe he can deceive him. But he didn't find anything sharp. So he put his hand on his nose. And when that person wanted to punch, he took away his hand. So he protected his hand. Okay. So you can take note of this story. So, according to this sense of justice and injustice, we have to consider priorities, and these priorities, although may not be necessarily real, but they are outcomes of something in human creation, that humanity, for the sake of needs, meeting their needs for practical reasons, are able to suppose, to initiate some types of relations. But he says, this is a very important point. He says, in this type of things, this is very important. In this type of things, we cannot involve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because this type of priority, which is result of these imaginations and initiation of relations, we say this person has more priority. This is property of this person. This is property of that person. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than all. And no one can limit his priority by saying that I have more priority. All of us really belong to him. So, between me and you, I can say this is my home, not your home. And it has practical benefit. We can run our life like this is my book, not your book. This is my child, not your child. Okay? But can I say this to God? That this is my house, not yours. This is my child, not yours. I cannot say this. So, this is then showing that why, in this sense, no one can complain to Allah that you have been unjust with me. Even if, for example, if a person loses his parents, cannot say, these were my parents, why you took away from me? Yeah? Or if someone loses his health, cannot say, this was zulm, you have taken my health. Is it clear?
Sheikh, I have a question.
Yes.
In determining priority, can we use causation? So if A creates B, then A has a right over B or right to B.
That's a real priority. That is not based on our assumption. As we said, anything which creates something, the cause owns it really. لِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. That is different from this is my property. لِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ is in the real sense. And no one else has that ownership. Yes.
But there's one thing that I'm just concerned about. It. Maybe it's the wrong collateral. For example, Fadak was given to Fatima by the Prophet. It was her property, and it was taken away by those other people. So how would you put that in this equation?
So it's coming under the same thing. That when something is property of someone, whether it be, for example, by producing it or inheriting it or receiving as a gift, then other people should respect that. Because this creates a space for that person that others cannot get into it. Okay, there's like a sanctuary. He or she has a right over this and not other people. 4. The fourth, which is, if you remember, we had a discussion about the way philosophers look at the issue of justice. The fourth meaning of justice is to observe the capacities and what things